Hello, my name is Larry Skinner. I am the Chief Operations Officer of FlexKom America, Incorporated, here in Henderson, Nevada, just outside of Las Vegas. Anything that's said on this conference call can be repurposed as FlexKom sees fit. That's the disclaimer I do on every one of these conference calls and webinars. So we're going to get started here on an incredible day. It started out with Bill Reside's blog talk this morning. You guys know what the time is on that. That's 10 a.m. Eastern, and then 7 a.m. That makes it 7 a.m. Pacific. And then at noon, we had none other than Volker Weinig doing that great announcement at 9 p.m. Pacific, making it noon Eastern, which just kind of set the world on fire. We only have about 15 or so people here on the call right now today, and the reason why is because we are open for business. And for anybody that doesn't know, Volker came on and made an incredible announcement. And I promised you that when Volker made that announcement, when we made an announcement that we were open for business, that we would have none other than co-CEO Jeanne Mullen come in here and talk to you guys for at least a couple of minutes. She's a very busy lady, so we're going to get her on in just a second as soon as this call passes through. We have people calling in here, so sorry about the noise in the background, but I can't do anything about that now. So, Jeanne, this is Jeanne Mullen, our co-CEO. What would you like to say?
Well, good evening, everyone, especially my peeps in Florida. I used to live there many years ago, so glad to see everybody's representing down from there. And I just told Larry, I guess we'll just keep it open for any questions that you might have for me, and I'll do my best to answer them.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to open the lines up. Hold on. Okay, so let's first do this with Gary. Let's have Gary Elvis come on first. Just hit star and then 6, Gary.
Okay, Larry, got you covered.
You'd like to make any statements or anything, or ask Jeanne any questions?
Oh, goodness gracious, Jeanne, it's really great to hear your voice. How are you feeling?
I am doing great, thank you. A little tired. This has been 24 hours. No, actually more than 24 hours. We have been here nonstop since about 7 o'clock yesterday, just trying to make sure everything was in place and up and getting things ready. So Larry and I are both a little tired, but we do plan to sleep tonight.
Well, you know, I just have to tell you, I know that it's a good kind of tired, because sometimes you just count on that adrenaline to keep you going, and sometimes you just look at the clock and you go, is that AM or is that PM?
So true.
No, I just want to tell you how much we appreciate all of the efforts. You guys had thousands of units to put out. You did. You had hundreds, if not more, questions and answers that you're dealing with on a daily basis. And I know, you know, so many times out in the field, some of us, we get a little bit, we get a little impatient because of one thing or the other. But I want to tell you guys have got the patience of Job 10 times over, and we appreciate it. You know, we're down here, the Tampa Core team. Many of us are online tonight, and of course we have our goals that we're reaching hard to reach, and all the other 49 states, they've got theirs, and we understand that with Volker's presence on that webinar today, we've all got such a great head start on as a first mover. We are just absolutely chomping at the bit, and I'm so thankful that Volker has taken the charge to push forward what he's doing, and to have 30 webinars in 30 days. I mean, it's incredible, you know, the type of energy that he needs, because they're 5 hours ahead of us over there. So it's just great to have you, Jeanne, and anything we can do to help, you know, we're here for you.
Sign people up, right?
Sign people
right.
up. I'm waiting for the credit card processor to call me and say, what is going on? Because we did call and warn them that we had some new programs going out, and, you know, the different amounts that would be coming through, so that they wouldn't be alarmed, because they seem to get alarmed when things change. And they were real excited to hear about the new program and all the new things going on. And, you know, we have some great companies we work with that are 100% behind us. And, you know, they raised our limit to over $2 million. So let's break it this month.
Let's break it. And, you know, my own personal company, the Signs Now business over in Brandon, Florida, That's going to be the first one we sign up. We've got 5 on the hook, and I know Jim Hildreth, the sales manager there, are real close. I know he's got several on the hook. We have been waiting in the wings for the get-go to say go, and it's extremely exciting, and you're going to hear a lot more from the group, from Bill York, Penelope, Jude Davis on the line, Robin, Susan Ferguson, Ron and Lori Jenna, and Jim. It's a great group. And we're going to be setting things on fire, and we're trying to go ahead and set Florida on the map as fast as possible. And we've got George K. down in South Florida, and we've got Jason Marks. We've got a great team, and we're thankful for you guys.
We're thankful for your team. You guys set an example.
Well, it's our pleasure, and we don't want to monopolize the time, so I'm going to go ahead and just sit back and listen now.
Roger that.
Right,
Next
great.
caller, star 6. All right. Sometimes I can see that you're clicking on the button. Try it again.
Hi,
Hey,
this is
Go ahead. One at a time. Ladies first.
say
Go ahead.
that again.
Ladies
Okay,
first.
this is Jude. I was under the impression that our back office was going to change, and I've been cruising all around at all the links to find out everything that's in writing that was promised. And
You'll see it.
am I
what
missing
you're talking-
something?
No, those basically we were working on the things, the actionable things. For instance, when a new partner signs up, we have those things in place. Their packages in place. The documents for them are in place. So we had to change those things around. Then once we get those set, we're going to go and put those same documents in your back office under downloads. So you'll see all these things in downloads. We'll be doing this all weekend long, all throughout the weekend. Yes, we will. In fact, here at the office, there's no such thing as weekend. The weeks just keep going on and
Right.
on. But over the weekend, we'll get all those documents once we get them up and functional. Yes, for you people who have clicked around, we see German too. We're working on that. We're working in real time, 24 hours a day with Germany. Every time we pop something up, as we talk about on this conference call, in general, it usually will make some German pop up one place or another. And so we see these things, we take screenshots, we send it over to Germany, we do our translation saying, is this what you're trying to say? We'll make it in English for America, that sort of thing. And then that's a process that we're going to be doing all weekend long. Once we get everything finalized, we'll see it in your back office, and you'll see each of the documents, the PNP,
the policies and procedures, and the comp plan. But what you can see now, when a new DMR comes on board, before they actually go pay, there's a link that they can read the policies and procedures, and a link for the comp plan, so they can see all that. So they're a little bit more informed. They have the ability to read that before they go in and make a payment. And we want to make sure that they know everything up front. And the nice thing is, if you're working with them, and sometimes our copies of things get a little bit torn and worn down from carrying around so much, they have a fresh access. Just click on the link and they can see everything there. And as well as, we will have a new DMR agreement. It's something that was never up. But, your DMR agreements are renewable each year, so we have one in the works, and so that'll be up. And again, it just lets you know the terms and agreements that you've agreed to, and also the expectations that you can expect from us.
Got you. So if a person goes out to sign up, like right now tonight, once they pay, then they would get to see at the payment time, either before or after, they get to see the policies and procedures that apply to the new plan. So, but we don't know what they are, so we're going to kind of look stupid saying, well, I really don't know what it is, but go ahead and sign up and pay, and you'll find out.
No. It's direct marketing now. You want to?
Right. It's just direct marketing. It basically lets them know. It's on the page that has the eBiz kit. So when they go in to purchase the eBiz kit, it has the description at the bottom there. There says policies and procedures and comp plan, and it just lets them know. And again, it's the information. I don't know if they loaded everything in the back office. We haven't had
I haven't seen any new dates for today.
Yeah, we'll be loading that. I mean, the goal was to have the websites functional to take a sign up at 5 p.m. Pacific, and we hit that target. It's not all in English. And then we have not taken all the documentation, the new documentation, for instance, the written comp plan, and put it into the existing partners' back office under downloads. That's step 2. That's the next step in this process. First, we had to get the website functional to take a new sign-up, and it is. We just ran through it again, and we'll run through it again and again over the next 72 hours as we fine-tune it to make everything perfectly in American English and so forth. You should see those documents appearing in your back office under downloads, and it's going to be under, the partner agreement will be under the partner agreement.
Right, and then there'll be stuff under new updates, too. So
news and updates,
okay.
Yes.
So then the question that is the biggest in my mind right now is I have thousands of dollars worth of KTM terminals that I was going to give to merchants, the first merchants that entered. Now we have to sell them. What is the scoop on that issue?
Okay, you don't have to sell them. It's that...
Isn't it illegal to... Okay, go for it. I interrupted. Sorry about that.
So basically what it was is that we should not have done the KTM terminals the way we did. So anyone who purchased a KTM terminal, there's a letter that will be sent out to the mail to you. If we get them all done this weekend, they'll be heading out. And you basically have some options. And one of the options is we have 6 months for everyone to place their KTM terminals with a merchant. You can transfer. The only thing you have to do is transfer ownership. So if you want to give it to them, there's no cost to them, but you have to transfer ownership. And the other thing is you want to sell it for $1, but you can only sell it up to the cost that you paid for it plus the shipping. That's it. So
do we still get the both sides, the KTM commissions, and then
right? As long as you place those terminals, yes. You still have your 20 and 20.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so if you place them as a KTM and you give it to the merchant at no cost, because it's a great merchant and you know you're going to get your money pretty quickly because they have 100 people in for lunch every day, for example, and you figure I'm going to get at least $1 from each of those people, and it's like, you know what, I'm going to give it to this guy or this gal, then you're still getting the 2020. If you sell it to them for no more than what you paid for it, then it's still the same, 2020. So, basically you're looking at the option of giving it to them. If you're, I see Larry Holcomb's on the line here, he would probably tell you could start the negotiation by having them see what it would be like to buy their own. That'd be $950 for them to buy their own. And then if it's a great place, you might say, you know what, I have a couple of terminals that I could sell you for X amount of dollars, starting at the price that you paid for them. And if it's a great place and you're willing to take the bullet, say, you know what, I'll give you half price. I'll split the cost with you. So we'll have Larry on there. I can see he's in the queue here. He'll maybe coach everybody on this call on how to do that negotiation. But if you're talking about a great location that you know has a lot of foot traffic, and let's say it's a restaurant and their average meal is $25, and you know they're going to be giving 5, 10%, 20% discount, then you can do the math yourself. So you can see that you're going to get your money back pretty quickly if you give it to them.
Right. And the only thing we were instructed to do was that we have to transfer ownership. The DMR cannot be the owner. The merchant has to be the owner.
Even if we give them away?
Yes.
Hey, Larry.
Yes, we give them away.
Is this Larry?
If you give them, it's Larry. If you give them away, do you still have to transfer ownership?
Yes.
Okay. My question is, what if you give it away and that merchant closes their doors? That's okay. You just lost that terminal. I understand that, correct?
Well, the other option you have, too, is if you know they're closing the doors, just go back and say, since you're closing your door,
can I buy it back?
I gave it to you for nothing. Can I have it back?
Okay. But even though you transferred ownership, though.
Yeah. You're going to have them transfer it back to you.
Right.
Okay. I got it.
Once again, you're picking your location. You don't want to go with the first location that only, it's your cousin's store and you're trying to help your cousin out and they get one person in per day. That's not going to work. You want to scope out the place, talk to different merchants. In fact, Larry, you're the pro on this. Give us a little idea of what we're looking at for a merchant.
My mindset's a little bit different. Yes, I want high traffic merchants, but my first 20 terminals, I want them on the marketplace, and I don't want to give them to somebody that's going to do $20 a day. No, but like my little coffee shop that only did, and I shouldn't say, but her average is only like $500 a day. But she's, as of today, she's giving out 201 apps. And when I teach her now to go to teach her people to give those apps away, that's going to double, triple, multiply. So sometimes even a merchant that doesn't do a lot of business may be a merchant that gives out a lot of apps. And that pays her, which in turn pays me. So sometimes it's important to have a merchant that does do a lot of money turnover, which you're going to give a lot away. But it's also important to give it to somebody that has the ability to give out a lot of apps, because we get paid on apps even though they might not purchase a lot at that one store. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
That's a great point.
That's
why we need you, because we're not out there doing that.
You're in the trenches out there fighting the war.
Well, my only problem was I bought 20 and I should have bought 100. I'd like to give 100 away, because when I get this populated, my area just gets bigger and bigger. I've been to Ohio. I gave an app away today. We're staying in halfway to home, Kentucky, and I gave an app to a girl at the register in Maysville, Kentucky. I hope there's somebody here in Kentucky that's going to sign up stores. I can't do it, but I have an app here now that I'll get paid on eventually. And I think this girl will give away 5 or 10. So my goal is to have apps all over the world. It's just for the fun of it. I'm sorry, this is too much fun. But today we stopped and helped Darlene Tony in Columbus, Ohio for 3 hours, who's not in my downline. But my goal is to see the United States light up. I helped the guy today, Paul Benson in California call me. I'm trying to help him work in San Francisco. And I don't mind at all, but we're all in this together. So I know eventually I'll have people traveling to San Francisco. I'll have people going to Ohio from my little town in Ringo. So I'll get it back sooner or later.
Oh, all ships float.
Definitely.
That's exactly right.
It's a great
quick
attitude
question.
to have.
I was on 4 minutes late. My understanding is the United States is live, so Darlene can place hers in Ohio, I understand. But can the customers spend their money now? I missed that part. Is that correct?
Right now we have on the customer website, when they come in, they're going to have to get a payout on their cash. This is just short term because we have not heard back from all the states on licensing requirements. So we don't want to just do a few and have people confused. So right now we're able to do that, and then they'll get paid out once they reach a certain dollar amount through the same hyperwallet process that you get your commissions. And then once we have about 30 states clear, because, we're not in every state yet, but we're hoping to be, then we'll feel a little bit more comfortable with, we'll know that most of the states are going to go with it. So right now it's just waiting for the states to get back with the attorneys and say, oh, yeah, our biggest hurdle that we still have right now is the states don't understand what we do.
Yeah, this is for the first mover here. But let me clarify, when she says we're not in all states, we don't have partners in all states.
Right.
If the partner shows up in Montana, we have one in Montana.
We have one in Montana.
North Dakota? North Dakota's a good one.
North Dakota, we don't have anybody
yet.
So
if a partner signs up in North Dakota, then we have representation there, and they can place there. But right now we don't have anybody in North Dakota or South Dakota.
Hey, Larry. This is Gary. Quick question, Larry Skinner. So just to kind of clarify a little bit, since we do not have the listing of the states available, should we email you in? Because here's what I'm thinking. In the old KTM plan, if let's say we loaned a machine to someone in another state that was certified, of course, because every person has got to be certified, and Volker covered that today. When that happens and we're dealing with certified team members, DMRs, in the old plan, when we would loan them one of our machines, we would procure an 8% override. Now, is that 8% override been removed, or is it still there?
So you're a KTM and you're placing it through another partner. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah. Then he's talking about the whole off the macro dollars, not the.
Especially if it's somebody that's not. Especially if somebody that's not in my line, because what we worked on before was 20% of the 40% was 8%, and that's what we've worked on in the past. And I'm just trying to clarify.
No, that's still true. Right. So with a KTM placement, you're giving the terminal to through a partner who places that terminal in a merchant's location. You're getting that 8% as the KTM.
Right. Okay, and if that person is an old time VIP pioneer, then he is getting his 20 and 20. Is that right? Which is 12 and 8 actually.
He's getting his 20, right? Oh, wait, is he? No, he's getting 20.
KTM terminals are not subject to the 2020.
The 2020 are the VIP terminals. So with the Pioneer VPI, I'm dyslexic, VIP terminal, he places that VIP terminal, he's getting 20 and 20. That's Pioneer.
Okay. All right, so if I place the KTM terminal, let's say in another state and another line, what is that end DMR's percentage? If 20. I'm getting 8%, what is their incentive to place that machine and to service that machine?
You're getting 8% from the FlexKom side. He's getting 20% from the 60% side, from the other side.
Right.
Okay, wait a second. Say that again. Okay, let's say he's a VIP, an old-time VIP pioneer, and he's in another line, and I'm trying to help him out, but also it's my machine, so I'm picking up 8%, and his incentive is what again?
He's getting the 20% because he's signing up the merchant, right? The merchant's signing up with entering his ID number. When that merchant goes to FlexKom.com, clicks on merchant registration, whose ID number are they putting in? They're putting in his, okay?
Okay, so to clarify, when you say his 20%, you mean 20 of the 60%, which is actually 12, or do you mean 20 that is 20 of 12. The 60? Okay, so 12% of the total rebate.
Can I ask a question?
Hold on for 1 second. Let's make sure that we finish that one up.
What has to do with it? Yeah, it has to do with it.
We'll do you next. So you got that? So it's 12 he's getting.
Okay, so at the second part of my question is, let's say that I've got the KTM terminal, because we've had several different people from different walks in this area. So let's say that I have the KTM terminal and I get 8%, correct? That's 20 of the 40, correct?
That's right.
20. Okay. Now, if that person that owns the business, and I know there's a lot of us that are actually pioneers that have businesses, i.e. Mike Livingston, Larry Holcomb, et cetera, okay, if we place our KTM terminal in our own business, then the percentage of the merchant side is what?
12.
Okay, and then the percentage as a DMR is also what? 12? All right, and then as a KTM, that is 8, correct?
8 for 4.
Okay, so that's the double dip where there's 12, 12, and 8, which is 32%, correct?
That's right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doing pretty good.
All right. That clarifies it. You guys are great, and I'll go ahead and sit back and listen to more great information.
Okay.
Hey, guys.
Wait. Someone asked a question, lady?
Yeah, I did. So my question just really has to do with this KTM. Therefore, if we place our own KTM, we're going to get the 12% for the rep, okay? And then we're going to get 12%
because you're the merchant.
Because you're the merchant.
Well, yeah, I know the merchant's going to get that, but what not if we're the merchant? Let's say we're just a VIP KTM. So we're going to get the 20 of the 60, which ends up 12, okay? And do we still have the direct and the indirect?
The direct and the indirect, that's when somebody comes in from, say, New York to your...
Yeah, right.
The merchant has the indirect, not the partner. That was a merchant incentive.
Oh, okay. Okay. So therefore, as a partner, you're going to get the 12%, and then you're going to get the 8%, whatever's run through that terminal, correct?
That's right.
And then what's that other 12% he's talking about? That's if you were the merchant also, right?
That's right. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
and for everybody else, everybody that's new to this, we're going to go over this ad nauseum. You're going to get, and we'll have videos and PowerPoints that'll explain all of this. By this time next week, you'll have all this at your fingertips, and you can just go over it and over it until it sinks in, until you feel it. Okay? So don't worry.
Okay.
George Kospczyk, Florida State Manager. How are you guys?
Well, better now we hear you, George. Welcome to the call.
Well, thank you. Jeanne, I went ahead and sent you, I left you a voicemail. Hopefully you were able to get that, and perhaps you can respond to that to me. Did you get that the other day?
We get kind of a lot of voicemails.
Okay, no problem. Well, I'm sure Bill's also been on top of it with some of the commission issues that we discussed. I'm sure you're taking care of that.
If you got it in here, then we're processing it.
Okay, perfect. So, Jeanne, I appreciate that. Appreciate all your hard effort. Now, here's what I'm going to suggest, guys, because I'm still looking at our back office. As soon as possible, the Flex Intro, which talks about the K1 through 20, which no longer exists, as we know. That's where we got into our issues. With the KTM, obviously, and the old eBiz, all that. My recommendation, Jeanne, as soon as possible, let's take that down, because, again, I'm clicking on it, and it still shows up.
Where are you seeing that?
Where are you seeing that?
I'm seeing that in when I go into Flex Intro under, one second. I'm going to back out of this. Okay, so I go into my back office, and I go into Extras. When I go into Extras, a toolbar comes down. It's Flex Intro. When I click on Flex Intro, it takes me to Dashboard KTM Event Testimonials. When I click on KTM, K1 through 20 are there, and when I click on them, they still show those packages. Because of our situation, we know those no longer exist. Can I make a suggestion that we take those down as soon as possible?
Yeah, we didn't see that one.
We just
take
missed
it down.
one.
We see it now though.
Yep, that needs to go.
Absolutely. Yes,
definitely.
sir. Thank you. Good eyes. Good call.
Thank you.
Yeah, take that down immediately. Wow.
Yeah, again, I'm not trying to tell you guys what to do, but I know how that could harm us.
Yeah, we'll get that down.
Definitely.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
We're here to, make sure. That we're here long term for longevity, obviously, and we want to make sure because of that we don't have any kind of situation of they're still promoting or marketing something that, of course, is not in our plans anymore.
Right on, dude. We'll do that.
All right. Well, that was one thing. The other thing is, let's go back to KTM Merchant. As we all know, the agreements were there were some errors, Larry, that I pointed out to you when we were in Atlanta. Having said that, we obviously no longer have that. So here's the question I have. Obviously, if I'm a KTM merchant, and KTM, I bought KTM terminals as now we're calling DMRs, I guess. That's the new name for them. Direct Marketing Rep, is that what we're going to be called?
Direct Marketing Representative Independent Agent.
I love it. Okay, we got it all. Good. I like that, and I like the fact of the addition to the DMR. So that's great. Independent agent, because we are independent. Now, having said that, so back to this. So there's going to be, let's say hypothetically, I want to sell my terminal that I bought at the KTM event, for $449 plus tax, and I go ahead and want to sell it, Jeanne, to someone in my group. Can I go ahead and sell it for the amount that I paid for it, and then they, in turn, transfer it to whoever they're going to do as a merchant?
Yes.
And at that point, if I do that, then I'm out of the loop completely, other than my override. Is that correct?
Correct.
Or differential, I should say. Differential commission. On that terminal, is that correct?
We got to make one point about the tax.
Okay. First of all, the KTM terminals that were purchased, because we already charge you sales tax and we pay the sales tax. If you sell them to a merchant, we will not be collecting more sales tax, and you'll see when the paper goes out that we ask you to have the merchant call us, because all we can collect from the merchant, if we were going to pay you back on that, would be, or from another KTM, would be just the cost of the machine plus shipping, because all the sales tax has already been collected and paid.
Yes, I was aware of that, so obviously you can't charge sales tax twice, and that's a very good point that you bring up. Thank you. Having said that, though, back to my question in terms of, so I go ahead and sell the terminal for the cost that I have in it, because that's the most I can charge for it, and let's say someone in my downline, then all I would do at that point, they would assign it to whatever merchant they're assigning it to. I then at that point only have the differential commission because, again, I no longer have anything to do with that terminal. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then having said that, let's look at the other scenarios. Is there going to be any kind of paperwork to that effect, or is that an agreement between myself and my team member?
If you're going to do it between yourself and your team member, the only thing we're going to need from you is a transfer of ownership of that particular serial number from you to him, and there's a form in the letter that will go out that you can make all the copies you need for the terminals you have, and we can take care of that. So financially, money between the two of you, and we just need the information to set it up under the new owner.
And it won't be instantaneous. Great. It's going to take no less than about probably 10 business days to process all of that, because it's a lot of back and forth with Germany.
That's understandable. Okay, so that's one question. The other question is, let's say I bought the terminals, and I am a KTM, and of course I'm also a VIP at the time. Then what happens is, if I go ahead and, because again, I can't have it in my name, I transfer ownership to that business, and that business, for whatever reason, whether I go ahead and transfer ownership for $1 for free or up to the amount that I have in it, then what happens is, if it's the amount that I have in it, then obviously I have no recourse. But if it's less than that, and they're, let's say, going out of business, or they're not doing what we discussed would be done, and obviously, or they're not interested in continuing with what we're doing, then I get the terminal back. Is there a transfer form as well to get it back, so that I can transfer it to someone else?
The terminal, once you transfer ownership, it's at the merchant's discretion if they want to sell it back to you.
Right, and if they do, what I'm trying to say is there a form, or is that an agreement between us and then doing the transfer the way we discussed with the serial number back to me, or how's that work?
Right. As long as it's in the next 6 months, that'll work, and I'll have to ask the attorneys if a merchant is like going out of business or wants to get it out and they want to sell it back, if it has to come back to us and then we pay you, which may be the option, is that you tell, like we know the merchant paid $200 for the terminal and now he doesn't want it anymore and you've agreed to take it back, then he may just, what we may do is we buy it back from the merchant at $200 so that then you have it back. So
right.
That,
Jeanne, here's the thing I see. I'm a contract guy to a large degree. That's my background, being in real estate. I've written many. So obviously, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, imperative. And so what I see here is and again, I was just listening previously when you guys were sharing, that if we say, well, if the business is going out of business, go there and just, if they're willing to sell it back to you, then you can go ahead and get it back. I don't believe that putting it back in your name, based on what we're already saying that, needs to get out of our name, I believe that what you just said, Jeanne, is going to be more accurate. So I just need clarification on that. And again, I'm not trying to rock the boat, but I believe that, there's a right way that we need to do it and the one that can get us into another predicament.
Right, because, there are several factors when you think about taking a terminal back. If it's been in a restaurant and stuff is dripping all over it, it may not be worth what they want to sell it back to you for. So there's there. And, we have the next generation coming out here, the 5.0, very soon. And by that time, who knows? The way they're producing these, we could have 6, 7, 8.0 pretty soon. So again, there's a lot of factors from that, but I will definitely get some clarification from our attorneys to make sure that if there's a special way we need to handle it, that we will handle it that way.
I really appreciate it. Thank you, folks. You guys are doing a great job, and I just wanted to chime in on a couple of things. Like I said, today's announcements were phenomenal. I know there's more to come, and we're looking at the long term of all this. And one thing we are definitely working on is becoming more professional where, we've got a push-play where everything and everyone is reading from the same sheet of music. So, therefore, we've got longevity in what we're doing. So I really appreciate you guys, and it's just an honor, humbling experience to be a part of this.
Right on.
Thank you. We appreciate you, George.
Thank you very much, George. Okay,
Hey, Jeanne, it's Gary, and in light of what we just covered with George, you mentioned 6 months earlier. You mentioned 6 months. After that 6-month period is over.
We have a bad echo. Please, everybody except for Gary Elvis, mute your lines real quick.
Okay. Are we good?
Yes.
Okay. In light of what you had mentioned earlier about the 6-month window, after that 6 month is up, does that mean that if let's say I've got 30 machines now, and in 6 months I've got 3 machines, what is the status of those machines do you foresee? Are those going to be my machines from now on, and I need to place those with 8% override, or what? Because I'd like to see your answer on that.
Well, we have discussed this, so we'll probably send out to anyone whose machines are not placed within 4 or 5 months an option that we will do our best to help you get those placed. And after the end of 6 months, we would have to do a buyback.
Okay, so I cannot keep ownership of the machine after 6 months. It has to be placed. That's good. That's more than fair, because we were looking at 45 days before.
Right. We looked at this and we talked with the attorneys, and I said, wow, that's in some areas people bought, terminals, and there's not a whole lot of action going on, and we need to give them plenty of time because you made the initial investment, and we want to make sure that you have plenty of time to recoup whatever you need to recoup and get them replaced. And so, the lawyers work with all the agencies and the government and all the other stuff, and so we were told we had 6 months to resolve everything.
So can you, in a kind of a nutshell kind of thing, can you just kind of give me from your standpoint, what is the basic difference in the KTM plan now as opposed to what we had before? What is the significant difference? Because it sounds like it's almost exactly the same.
Ownership. So you're giving up ownership of the terminal to the merchant.
All right, that's if you sell it. But I thought you said that at the end of 6 months, if we have placed it, are you saying that we can no longer own the machine? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, right. When you during the next 6 months, you have to make sure that your machines are with the merchant, and you have to transfer ownership to that merchant, which means if the merchant agrees to buy your machine for whatever you paid for it, the merchant will then have to pay FlexKom. We get the money so that we can say we did charge the merchant for it, and then we refund you the exact amount.
Okay, so in the example, I'm sorry, in the earlier example, when I mentioned that I place my machine, if I loan it to someone that's not in my line, and they place the machine in a merchant's business, you're saying that I have to, within the 6 months, I have to relinquish my ownership to either that outside line DMR or else to the merchant themselves. I can no longer have any ownership in the machine.
That's right, to the merchant.
To the merchant.
And you have to do that when it starts making money, right?
Right.
So you have to give up ownership to have it placed there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is the difference. The difference is we don't have a lifetime 8% or 20% of the 40. That program is no longer valid.
No, you still have your money. We're not having to touch the money that comes with the KTM machines. So your 8% and your 12% are still there. We just have to transfer ownership. which we
okay,
thought
but
was...
I guess I'm confused. If I'm loaning it to someone outside my line,
you're not loaning it.
You're not loaning it. Maybe we misunderstood that.
You're not loaning it anymore. Now what's happening is, as a KTM, you are placing it in a location, you're selling it to the merchant, or you're giving it to them for free.
Okay, but in other words, we can split the commissions. In other words, someone outside my line, they can get 12% for placing it, and I'll get 8% for them placing one of my former machines, so that they basically split commissions for me for life. Is that right?
That's right. Yes. The incentive for you as a KTM to place it is at 8% for life.
Okay. Very good. All right. Well, that clears that up. I appreciate that, you guys.
Okay. Let's go for somebody that hasn't asked a question yet.
Hey,
This is Bill York.
Nick. Can I ask a question?
Let's go to Bill York. I heard you first. Go ahead, Bill. Everybody else mute out.
Thank you for taking my question. I'm not quite sure. For the state of Florida, my understanding was that before the merchants could start collecting their revenue on a daily basis, we needed Florida state regulatory approval. Was I incorrect, or can you speak to that question?
We can collect money.
Do we need Florida state regulatory approval for the merchants to start collecting their revenue?
We have to have regulatory approval to pay another merchant. That's why currently we can collect from the merchant, because we're providing that merchant with a product and a service, which is marketing and advertising, customer loyalty program, and the customer would then have to be paid out, which we said is temporarily, that discount paid out temporarily through the HyperWallet program until we have more states that have given us regulatory approval. And again, all states, some states we've gotten in 30 days, some it's taken 60. We're at that point now, we're at 60 days, but we still have a lot of states that we're still waiting. And
what is the status?
Unknown.
What is the status of the Florida state regulatory approval?
Let me just tell you, Florida is a very unique state. So the status is wait and see.
But you can go now, sign up merchants. The customers can garner their rewards. When they get up to a certain number of dollar of rewards, they can have requests for it to be paid out via HyperWallet. So they're in, the customer can get their money via HyperWallet, not via not being able to go and spend that money over at the bowling alley, from the rewards that they collected at the pizza parlor. But they can get their rewards, they can build them up, and then they can be paid out through Paylution.
And the neat thing is the customer then can purchase the FlexKom prepaid debit card.
Yes, they can.
And then they can use the money on there to go to other FlexKom merchants or even back to the merchant they got it from and spend it. So that's why we worked out the system with that until we know that once we feel that the majority of states have approved us, we've gotten like 12 approvals, but there's a lot more states. And like the lawyer said, these states some could take up to a year. So we're not hopefully going to have that. But again, getting them to understand what we're doing and how we're doing it, and looking at the classifications that they have for the type of business we have. In some states, we're being exempted from certain things because we don't fit into any of their little weird things. So that's what our attorneys say. The more of those we get, the easier it is for other states.
Yeah, and real
federally,
quick,
we're all compliant.
Yeah, federally, we're good and been good. But a lot of the states, like Florida, this is my experience, not necessarily here, but in other companies that I've worked with, Florida is a Me Too state. When they see other states doing things, and they go, okay, me too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what is that threshold the customer has to hit before they can transfer it to their HyperWallet?
$50.
Yeah, HyperWallet defines it as $50 for your first pull.
Right, because I can't transfer anything unless it's $50.
Okay, so beginning tomorrow, if I have a merchant in place in Florida, a customer reaches $50, they can transfer it to their HyperWallet and then spend that money at any location they want, whether or not it's FlexKom.
That's right.
And it'll be the same process where we will run a report, and then from that report, then we have to upload that information to HyperWallet. They'll get that beginning email, and then the funds will transfer. And it won't be every day because that's just, impossible.
And they'll be paying a lot of fees.
Yeah, and they'll pay a lot of fees. It'll be, probably at least once a week, and then as we go along and whatnot, we'll have a more automated process than it may be. But we don't want them to incur a lot of fees and stuff like that if we don't have to.
And folks that are customers right now, we're going to have them send us, when they reach those thresholds, we're going to have a W-9 on them.
A customer will have to submit a W-9 to get their money through the hyperwallet?
No, customers who, through their kissing of their front line, if they earn over $599 worth of commissions, they will have to be 1099, just like anybody. But the discounts, the rebates that go back, that has no effect on the customer whatsoever.
Yeah, I apologize for that. Yeah.
So just the rewards part.
Yeah. Just on cash withdrawn through hyperwallet.
That's right. No. That's a straight thing. No 1099.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So W-9 just for rewards. No W-9 for the what do we call it?
Let's call it the rebate.
The hyperwallet.
Yeah, right. The hyperwallet rebate. Yeah.
Okay.
And then once we get to the next
level, sorry, just so I make sure I'm straight on this. The W-9 is just for the rewards. The W-9 is not required for the hyperwallet.
That's right.
Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what about the merchant? That's the customer. Can you speak to the merchant side of that?
The merchant what we do with the merchant is each week we send them a very detailed invoice that lets them know every day they can go in and see their invoice for that day. It batches out. Then what we do is we take that week's worth of invoices, we transfer that to our accounting system, and so we show them all the discounts they gave, all the matching funds allocations they owe us, and then we subtract out any commissions or override we may owe them at this time, and then we mark those paid based on the deposits we have, or we collect any additional we need, and those will be done weekly. Again, we don't want a bookkeeper to have to see transactions every day. So most merchants, we're looking at the most they would be hit would be 4 times a month, and some of them, depending on their deposit and their activity, they may only be hit once or twice. And again, by having that prepayment, we just work down from that until we get to the $50 minimum. If somebody comes in with a $50 minimum, they're going to get hit a lot more frequently with an ACH payment coming to us, because we don't want to go below that $50, because until I have that money, I can't release commissions to you guys.
Okay. So, Jeanne, if in the scenario where they have more revenue coming in through their customers shopping at other locations, do they get that money on a weekly basis if it's more than what the discounts the discounts they've provided to their customers?
Right, it's all in net, so if I owe them, I pay them.
Okay, on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's effective now in Florida?
Yes, that's effective everywhere.
Okay. So what is the state regulatory approval preventing, or what is that holding back?
Using your rewards to go and buy, you get a reward from a pizza shop, and then you want to go and rent shoes across the street using your rewards card to pay for the shoes across the street.
Right. They're preventing us from paying a merchant for the rewards that they redeem.
And that's basically because they've never heard of it before.
It's never been one merchant to a different merchant. It's usually within the same, like Subway to Subway, or, you go to Sears and you get a gift card and you go back to Sears and use it. So we're not a gift card. So they don't know how to classify us in a lot of states. We've gotten good classifications in some states that, or like our attorney said, we get Nevada, which we're almost done with. We've gone back and forth with them. That's where we started. And California, which is a tough state, but we should be done there pretty soon as well. Then pretty much if California says, okay, you're good, here's what you need to do, most of the other states will follow that, because California and New York seem to be the leaders in a lot of the regulatory things that come out.
Okay. My next question is the legal opinion. Have we received that legal opinion yet?
A legal opinion takes a long time. We've gotten memos that we're okay to do what we're doing because they can only do a memorandum. An opinion, because when a lawyer gives you an opinion, they assume responsibility. So they have to do a lot of due diligence. It goes through partner review and everything else, and can take anywhere from 6 months to a year, depending upon what that opinion could cost them if there's a problem. So
okay, and Jeanne, the reason why I'm asking that is I'm running into situations where merchants see this scam stuff on the internet, and I've been saying that we will have a legal opinion and state regulatory approval imminently, and I guess I was wrong to say that. But I've been using that as a counter to that, and some of them have been telling me that's fine. When you get that, I'm willing to jump on board. So,
wait, let me understand this. Is there only one store in this town, or are there other stores?
There's 2 stores so far.
Then go to the third and the fourth and the fifth. Plant the seed, move on. When you start to show revenue, and that first adopter starts to be smiling and beaming when he goes down to the Chamber of Commerce, believe me, these issues, these questions will go away. The folks that we probably should have Larry Helcom come back on here and explain how you build momentum, and we will, by the way, on other conference calls. But focus. You want to focus on your strengths. You want to plant a seed. People are going to say, "No, I don't want to do it." Then that's fine. You plant the seed and you come back. That's what Larry would tell you. That's what George K. would tell you. There's more. Hopefully, there's more than one store in your town. Hopefully, there's more than 2 stores in your town.
And for every successful business, there's all sorts of nasty stuff out there. And I'll tell you, my background in the past has been the pharmaceutical industry. And let me tell you how many times the company I work for, they're selling drugs out the back door. We're doing, we don't lock up our DEA cage. Our employees are all on drugs. Pharmacists are known for using their own product quite well. But again, you're going to have the negative, and what our goal is to put out the positive. We're live. We wouldn't have held off and done all the stuff and then just said, okay, let's go live today just because. We did our due diligence. We've worked with a great Wall Street law firm. We have 2 great California law firms. And, one is very heavily in the banking and regulation part of the banking industry to make sure that we were there. So FinCEN, FINCEN, that gives the federal approval. We're okay there. And that, to me, is like more the golden seal that we need. The other states, again, because each state can come up with their own rules and their own regulations, that's where, it can be. There's several states that don't have any regulations, so we don't have any issues with those states. But then there's states that overregulate it. And, again, that's why we decided to go with a top-notch law firm so that they make sure that we have exactly what we need to be in that state and how we need to do business in that state.
And real quick, we have about 8 minutes left. So for those of you who didn't get a chance to ask your questions, please send an email to AmericanSupport@FlexKom.com. That's AmericanSupport@FlexKom.com. And on our next conference call on Monday, we'll start out our housekeeping by answering whatever questions you send there. So make sure early in the email that you say this is a question for the Q&A conference call. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Larry. This is Frank. This is Nick, Virginia. Can you hear me?
Yeah, in Virginia. Go ahead, Virginia.
Yeah. Hey, Larry. It's Frank Leonard in Virginia. How are you?
Hi, Frank.
I appreciate all these question and answers, and I know a lot of these are focused on KTM and the packages bought down in Atlanta and so forth. But going forward, and I missed the first 12 minutes of the call, I would doubt that you covered this, but my question is on the webinar today, Volker said $950 for the sale of the terminal. This is sort of my space that we're in. I've been in this direct sales for a long time. My question to you is this, and just so you know, and I won't give you a long story here, I'll give you it another time, but because of some of the delays, obviously, what we've been doing is we've been doing a merchant survey, and trying to get interest, but then hold the merchant off until we sort of knew exactly what was going on. So I've been in many, many places, and probably have 20 or 30 now potential merchants moving forward. My question, though, is as I ask on merchants from the standpoint of cost, $950 is a huge chunk of change for them. My question is, at least maybe you all can maybe not be able to answer this, but put this forward. Is there a way to go in and, in essence, do something like $450 up front and $100 a month for 5 months? The reason I ask that is that we already have a credit card or a bank account situation. I just think that would be extremely helpful if there's an option for the merchant. So.
And then you're talking about a whole new game of regulation to become a financing company, because we did look into splitting payments and stuff, and unfortunately, we're not able to do that.
Not at this time.
Yeah. Not at this time. It's just we're still just trying to get through the basic stuff, so we're doing the program that we wanted. And then again, we would have to look at when do you pay commissions, when do you pay the placement things, because then we don't have that money in-house. And when you're financing, you have higher costs. So there's a lot more that would have to go into that.
Yeah, I guess I'm throwing that out because the fact, look, and someone said to me, I proposed this question. They said, well, look, we've got all sorts of terminals to get out. That's great. But when the terminals are all out, then what do you do? My point is I can certainly see the tremendous benefits we have going forward here, bringing people in, at the $3.99, the DMR, and so forth. But if you bring a lot of those people on and they're in the marketplace and they're trying to sell something for $1,000, all I'm saying is I've been here. I'm in this space. I'm just trying to think ahead and just so that we can keep the wagon moving. That's all.
Oh no, thank you for that input, and we are looking at that, but that's got to be down the road after we get the regulation. Just the last gentleman, we have to get all those ducks in a row before we can even approach the next that level.
And also going down the road, just so that you know, also going down the road, we've talked to some merchants here in Las Vegas because that's kind of like our testing market, and some of the merchants that we know quite well. And again, some of them say, well, if this is what I want to do, they'll wait 30 days, which is not always the best thing, but they'll save up the money to purchase that. And currently, like I said, we do have a lot of terminals out there, but these terminals are going to have to be paid for and ordered. We'll have, our goal is to keep, a significant number on hand. So once the merchant pays, we can get those shipped out within 2 to 3 days. We just need to charge them and check them and ship them out the door. So I know for some merchants, it's a struggle, and, trying to do a financing, because that's the first question we asked. So can we do this? And then our lawyer said, do you think you've got enough trouble with this regulation? You'll have more with that.
Okay, now hold on for one moment. Okay, basically, I muted everybody out so that we can wrap this up because Jeanne and I both have to get back to work doing things. That, for instance, what George showed me, I got to get those things down ASAP. Right. But real quick, like we've talked about on this conference call before, like Larry Holcomb has said, when you're talking to the merchant, you're setting expectation. You're also listening to them. One of the questions you ask is, do you pay for a Yellow Page ad? If they say yes, then $1,000, $950 is nothing, because they don't have to pay $950 every month. They don't have to pay $950 4 times a year. The average person that's buying a quarter-page ad is paying, it depends on where you are in the country, anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000 for that ad. So do the math. This is advertising that once you pay that $950, you actually only pay for the rest of your advertising when it works. Can Yellow Pages do that for you? No. Can radio do that for you? No. Can putting flyers on the windshield wipers of cars do that for you? No. Most of your marketing is waste. You're paying for stuff to go out into the ether, and you're getting no visible, measurable return on your marketing investment. With this, you plop down a simple $1,000. And by the way, we're talking about a restaurant that has foot traffic. if $1,000 is a barrier to entry, you need to look at another restaurant. That's my personal opinion. We'll bring this up on Monday again, and that's at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We also have the radio blog. That's Country Manager Bill Resides radio blog. That is at 7 a.m. Pacific, making it 10 a.m. Eastern. And then we're going to have the Volker webinar at 9 a.m. Pacific, making it noon Eastern. And then, of course, this 6 p.m. conference call. Hopefully, like we talked about, going to be doing a webinar at that time, but we should also have videos up in your back office. All those things that George pointed out, we'll knock those things out this weekend. And like Jude was asking, we're going to get those documents into your back office under downloads. I'm Larry Skinner. I'm the COO of FlexKom America Incorporated here in Henderson, Nevada.
And good night from me, Jeanne Mullen, co-CEO here in Henderson.
Great. We'll talk to you Monday. Thank you very much. And send those emails to AmericanSupport@FlexKom.com. Thank you. Good night.